Hello, and welcome to an explanation of how to create modified assignments using the group management tool inside your LMS course. In this recording, I'm going to show you how to actually create the modified assignment. So you would already have to have your groups set up. To set up your groups in your LMS course, you would go into your course admin button and the group management tool. Inside the group management tool here, you'll be able to create different groups, adding different students to each individual group. On the most basic level, the easiest way to utilize the group management tool to offer differentiation and modified assignments is to create two different groups. One, a general group for your general education students, and two, a modified group for your special education students who require specific modifications to their exams, whether it be additional time, different types of questions, less answer choices, getting rid of questions such as which of the following is not. So you can create a modified test that will adhere to that group's specific modifications per their IEP requirements. Once you have those two groups set up, you can create modified tests assigned to each specific group so that only that group will see that assignment. So for example, we're going to create my modified assignment for my Unit 6 test. So once you have your two groups created, in all of your content items, you will be able to change which group you want to see that particular content item. You could choose it for all class members, you could choose just your general education students, or you can choose just your modified students. So, since I'm creating a modified unit exam here, the existing unit exam that's in the test, or in the course, I want only my general education students to see. So this is going to be the test that only my general education students complete. You can click on the exam, go into your toolbox, and once you create your groups, you'll see this Assign To section within the toolbox. You can again choose all class members to see it. You can choose just your general education students to see it, or your modified group for your students who need modifications. So I'm going to make sure that I have my Group A, my general education students, checked here so that only students in my general ed group will be able to see this exam and complete this exam. And this exams will only show up in their grade books. So the modified group, your special education students, will not see this in their grade book. Now, I'd like to create the actual modified test. So to add a content item to the Unit 6 here, I would click on the Unit 6 banner and choose Unit Content Items. And this will show me all of the content items that are currently in Unit 6. And I want to add a new item. And you can name the test whatever you want. Again, only the modified group of students are going to see this exam. So I can title it Unit 6 Exam Modified, whatever you'd like to name it. The only thing is you can't name it the same as the original test. So I couldn't name this 613 Unit 6 Test Part 1. I could name it 617 Unit 6 Test Part 1 Modified, so it looks similar for continuity's sake, but you can't name it the same. I'm going to select the type of unit content item I'm adding, so I'm adding an exam. Who do I want to assign this to is my modified group, because this is going to be the modified test. I want to show it, so I don't want to check the hide items, and I don't need to create a Dropbox item. So I can add the item, and you'll see it's now added to the bottom of Unit 6 here. for continuity's sake, I like everything being in line with each other. So to move this up below the original test, you can click on the modified exam, go into the toolbox, and then you can move the test. You'll see then that all of the unit content items in Unit 6 are listed here, and I simply want to move this up one spot. So I will change the Part 1 modified. I want this in slot 34, and the Part 2 of the Unit 6 test down one, so I want that in slot 35. Save my changes, and you'll see that these are now nicely in line. Group A, the General Ed group, will see 617 Unit 6 Test Part 1. Group B, the modified students who are receiving the modifications, will see 617 Unit 6 Test Part 1 modified. And then all group members will see the Part 2 of the exam. Now you have a blank exam that only your modified group will be able to see. So you're going to create this exam, but you don't necessarily have to create it from scratch. When adding questions, you can actually go back to the original exam and add test questions from this exam. So for example, say I really like all of the questions that are on the Unit 6 exam, the General Ed one, but I need to remove answer choices. I only want there to be 3 answer choices rather than 4. Or I want to remove the answer choice all of the above, or none of the above. When you are in your modified exam, you can go into the Test Banks button up at the top, and you can see all of the graded assignments that are in, or the multiple choice computer graded assignments that are in your course. And you can go down to the Unit 6 test, Part 1, and you can actually get all of the questions that are in the test bank associated with that particular exam. And you can begin to add these questions, ones that you like, that are still aligned to standards and you feel are appropriate for your modification group, to their test. So say I want to do question 1 here. What was an effect of the industrialization in Latin America? And I like this question here. After checking off certain questions that you want to add to your modified test, you can click Go. And then in my modified test exam here, you'll see those 3 questions that I just added. You can also add questions from scratch, whether it's true or false, multiple choice, fill in the blank, essay questions, short answer questions, that if you'd like to create your own questions for the students to complete on their modified test. And then basically you're just reworking questions. If you need to delete question choices or answer choices, if you need to rework questions, if you'd like to change point values of the questions, or you need to add point values to the questions, you'll be working in the exams here, adding appropriate questions to this modified test that only your students who need modifications will see. Once you've created the entire test, you will need to go into your gradebook to assign the specific points for the exam. Once you add a content item and you add the points to all of these questions, it does not automatically calculate the overall worth of the exam to these students' gradebooks. So you'll need to go into the gradebook. You'll need to go into assign points and weights after making sure that your modified test is selected as a gradable item, and actually by hand add the overall point value for this modified exam. Once the exam is complete and all the points have been updated and all the points have been added to the students' gradebooks, you can go in and you can check in the students' gradebooks to make sure that both tests are showing up. There is a little bit of a lag once you add the modified test that it shows up in the student's gradebook, so you may need to give it a little bit of time. But you'll see that students who are in the general Group A will see the original Part 1 exam showing up as a gradable item in their gradebook. And you'll see that the students who are in your modified group, the Group B, will only see the modified unit exam or assessment in their gradebook. So this is the most basic way that you can use the group management tool to uphold certain IEP requirements and modifications for students. Rather than paper tests through K-Mail, for example, this is all self-graded and within the course. So you can train your students, and it cuts out steps for those special education students who need modifications to their assessments. If you are in a math or English course, you can also go a step further and create additional groups for students who might need enrichment activities or additional help worksheets. Students can be in more than one group, so you could create a group that needs enrichment that is outside of the general and modified groups, your two main groups. You can sort of create then subgroups where students will be able, you can then assign students enrichment activities or additional assignments or additional assessments to check for understanding before students take the unit exams. So there's a lot of different things you can do with this group management tool that will allow you to create enrichment activities for students who need to go above and beyond the curriculum that's already in the course, or provide additional opportunities for remediation to students who might need some extra help within the course. Another thing that's important to point out is that once you've created these two exams here, you can then get exam statistics specific to your special education population in your LMS course. Once the students have taken the course or the assessment, you can go back into the assessment here. This won't show any numbers because no students have taken this 3-question test yet, and go into the exam statistics. And here in the exam statistics, you will be able to see specific exam statistics, whether it's the difficulty level of the question, the discrimination level of the question between students on how they did on particular questions individually versus the test as a whole, to try to pull out vital data that might be needed for remediation efforts before moving on to the next unit. And it's specific to subgroups that you create within the overall population within your LMS course. I hope that this has been a helpful video to help you understand different ways that you can use the group management tool, more specifically in creating assessments to help incorporate the modifications needed for your special education population in your overall LMS course. If you have any questions, please contact your administrators, and additional trainings can be offered on this group management tool or how to actually create the groups and subgroups within your course.